Before we get into the pattern editor itself, let's go through the pattern settings first. So first you have the length of the pattern, and that can go all the way up to 8 bars long. And then you can use the beats knob to change the number of beats in each bar. So anything from 1 beat per bar all the way up to 19 beats in a measure. So all you odd meter fans are going to really enjoy that. Then there's the playback rate for the pattern. That way you can have it play at quarter speed or half speed or, faster. And then you have the dynamic control for the pattern. By default, that's off, but you can also assign it to velocity, which is the velocity that you play the pattern key, or even assign it to a MIDI CC. Now you can quickly assign it to a MIDI CC by using this MIDI learn option, and then, move your mod wheel or something like that to assign it to that. Or I think you can even just press a key on your keyboard and it'll assign it to velocity. Next, there's the groove, and you have different groove types to select between. That's anything from, 8th note and 16th note swing to quintuplet swing and some other regional sort of micro rhythms to select between. And then there's also an override global option. And if you want your pattern to have its own groove separate from all the other patterns in the instrument slot, you can enable that option. And that way you can have maybe a different groove type selected, or even the amount of the groove that's applied to your rhythm. So if you have 8th note swing selected, that would be the amount of 8th note swing to apply to your pattern. Next, let's go through the controls in the pattern editor itself. The built-in pattern editor is basically a step sequencer, but with some extra features to make it capable of more complex rhythms. At the top, you have different tools for editing the patterns with. From left to right, there's the box select tool that lets you select steps with. And you've got an erase tool to clear those steps. Then you've got a velocity painting tool where you can just paint in the velocities of notes by just clicking and dragging. And then you've got the articulation painting tool, and that lets you paint in the current articulation like that without affecting the velocity. Though there are ways of also affecting the velocity and being able to paint in both at the same time. So if I have all the steps cleared and I drag in, to paint in the articulations, I can actually set the velocities at the same time. And you can do that too using some key modifiers. You can always read the manual for a detailed overview of how all of that works. So moving on, as you just saw, you can click on the articulation's name to access a drop-down menu of all the instrument's articulations, or you can use these arrow buttons to kind of scroll through them one by one. And then with certain instruments, like the congas, you can have it play more than one articulation simultaneously. So if I click on this button here, it'll split the articulation area in half, and then I can have it play both the conga drum as well as the quinto at the same time, in a single step. So moving on, you've got a button to change the division of the steps. Right now it is set to 1 step, basically quarter notes, but you can divide it into 2 steps per beat, and you get 8th notes basically. And you can even divide it into some more unusual options like 5 steps per beat or 7 steps per beat and things like that. And then next you have a clipboard, so you can copy and paste. So if you just press the button without anything selected, it'll copy the entire pattern, and that way you could copy it into a different pattern slot, for example. But you can also box select some steps, copy them, and then select other steps and paste them there. So that's really handy. And then moving on, you have the ability to import and export the pattern to external pattern files. You can also import them by just dragging the pattern file directly into the editor or into a slot, and that will load the pattern file too. And then the last tool we have is a step record. And so when that's enabled, it lets you record the velocity and articulation for each step by just playing it in through your keyboard. Let me show you a quick example. I'm going to record in some eighth notes, so I'll set the division to 2 steps. And then on my keyboard, I'll start playing. And as you can see, it automatically advanced to the next step every time I pressed a key on my keyboard. So that's a quick and easy way to record in your patterns. So the other thing that I wanted to mention with the division of the steps is you can also access the division for each individual beat using these dots here. If you click on them, you'll get that same menu, but just for this one beat. So I could have this one beat only have 1 step, and then this one be divided into 3 steps, so it's a triplet, and 4 steps, and so on. Or you can use the box select, select a couple beats, and then use this same menu here to change the division of all the selected beats.